All right, so Three Ninjas Podcast, Domino, Hess Jones, Bobby. I go by the name of Domino. And this episode will be available next week if you're watching it on YouTube or on Twitch right now. Just to let you know, it's on all podcast streaming platforms. That would be iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, wherever the fuck you get your podcast, we are there. Now, the guest I have on the line right now, we've talked to before. We've been talking about The Last Ronin for about, I want to say 2 years now, since about October 2020. Since then, a lot of turtle news has dropped, but we only have like a limited amount of time, so we're going to get to what we can get to. But, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, we have Mr. Kevin Eastman on the line.
Hey there, nice to be with you, Domino. This is awesome. Psyched.
Mr. Eastman, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Really good, thank you.
Good to hear, good to hear. All right, so let's jump right into it. So I guess issue 5 has been delayed a few times. It's supposed to be dropping now April the 6th. It was originally scheduled for February, then it got pushed back to March. Now set to drop in April. Is everything complete? Is everything being, just put together, or are we still working on it?
It's down to the last tiny little bits and pieces, but it will drop definitely in April. I think around the 3rd week. I think the last time IDW adjusted it, but it was, yeah. And I, first and foremost, I want to thank all the fans who have tolerated the delays. It's been, one of those things that centers around me and my wanting it to be perfect, but at the same time, there's just a little something here, a little something there, and suddenly we're set. We're behind a week, then it turns into 2 weeks. But it's all about perfection and getting it right. And the story was essentially 32, 33 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
So we're Peter and I wrote the first outline of what has become The Last Ronin back in 1987. Was set 30 years in the future. So the story that we wrote back then would have taken place in 2017. And so, what Tom and I did, adapted it and sort of expanded it into our future, about 20 years into the future. So, so it's 30 some odd years in the making. So what's a couple extra weeks to make sure we actually get it right, and we do appreciate everybody, tolerating my pickiness to get it exactly right.
Right. So you waited this long. What's a couple more months, right?
Yeah. But it'll be out in April. We're putting together the collected version at the same time we're putting together issue 5. So it'll be one of those that I think we're trying to ramp, get the collection out over the summer, to say during San Diego Comic-Con, that kind of thing. But April will be Last Ronin month. It'll be out. The series will be complete, 200 pages.
200 pages. Now that it's coming to I guess being completed, is there like a relief there? Is there a happiness there? It's like, oh, we finally got it done. We got the story out there. Is there excitement that you get to start another project with the Turtles, or what's the feeling?
All of those, in many ways, is that there is definitely a relief that that the project's done. There's a great sense of exhaustion that a whole team of people, myself, the incredible Tom Waltz, sort of Peter Laird originally, the Escorza brothers, Ben Bishop, much like when we were wrapping up issue 100 and we looked at doing Last Ronin, which has now become part of the IDW Turtle universe or multiverse. I think the Turtles have always had some form of multiverse, from the black and white comics, the Archie comics, to the movies and things. We want to do more things in the Turtles, in the Last Ronin part of the multiverse. We've got several ideas that we're going to continue, if it makes sense, the way we want to continue it. But that being said, Last Ronin is a standalone. It is a story and it is complete. And where it goes from here, we'll figure that out. But the Last Ronin, as a complete series, addresses everything, and it ends in a way that we wanted it to. So, but yeah, then we have got the Turtles ongoing series. Sophie Campbell, and we're doing things in Mutant Town. We're up to working on issue 127 right now, into 128. So, pretty happy with how that's going. It's been such a great adventure, not only working with Tom and all the fantastic artists that help bring together the first 100 issues, but what Sophie and everybody sort of evolved the storyline into with Mutant Town, and where we've gone since in the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. It's been it's actually over 2 years. It's been fantastic.
Okay. All right. Now, is it going to end how the fans expect it to end? Because I could think of about 2 or 3 scenarios that, would make sense, and then one that would just throw us completely off.
Well, it's no spoilers. You have to wait and see, but it ends certainly how I wanted it to from the first inception. It had to be organic and an evolution, and it had to have an ending that made sense for the entire Mirage. I call it because it's so heavily based on the Mirage Studios Turtle universe, part of the multiverse. So it's it did address everything I wanted to, and it solves a number of things that I think that had been out there lingering since the early days of the Mirage Studios Turtle comics. So,
Okay. Now, a question about the story itself. Now, whose idea was it to make Casey Marie? I don't know what to classify her as. She's not a mutant. She's not a superhuman. I don't know what she is, but who decided to give her like mutant abilities?
it was some Tom and I wanted to have that evolve throughout the story. It was a natural evolution, and it's something that we wanted her to have those abilities. And it was because when you think of and you work on a story like that, it has to be very natural and it has to make sense. And so when we looked at the foundation of Casey and April having been around the Turtles and the mutagen and exposed to it for so many years, for so many things, it's just almost a natural sort of absorption to it. It's like being around something that's almost radioactive. And so, as when we see Michelangelo, when he comes into the story, he is different from the Michelangelo you've known before. So he's
Right.
as a mutant has continued to evolve and mutate and change. So it's sort of, that was sort of the way we wanted to show that it's an active, whether you consider it degenerative or enhancing or thing, it's an active compound, an active component that's changed him, and we wanted to affect the people around him. So just by exposure to it, Casey and April having a child, that was in their blood, their DNA, so it actually becomes part of her DNA, which then ultimately makes her part of the family, which the Turtles are all linked together. The Turtles as a family are linked together through the mutagen. It's not like they were 4 turtles in a terrarium that were all brothers, from the same mom, if you will, or the same pod, or the same litter, or the same thing. But they what made them the family, including the Master Splinter, was their growth and exposure to the mutagen that made them the family that they became. So now we could add Casey Marie solidly to that family.
Got you. All right. So like I said in the beginning, we do have a limited amount of time, so I want to get to some other stuff that are away from the comic. Since we last talked, there's been a lot of Turtle news that has dropped. They announced the animated series, they've announced the live action reboot, they've announced some spinoffs with some villains, and I wanted to know your opinion on the animated reboot with Seth Rogen at the helm.
I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what he does with it. When I think back of all the different iterations and the different Turtle universes, if you will, because a lot of people say, going back to the very beginning when we did the black and white comic book, which was intended for an older audience. When we did the kids version, there were so many people that were immediately haters, and they was like, "Well, you sold out. Well, you did this, and why did you do a kids version of your comic?" And we said, "Well, we did, but we didn't, because we now get to have both worlds. We get to have a version for kids, and it might fail, it might succeed. We don't know at that time, but as sole co-creators and sole owners, co-owners of the Turtles, we had that right to do what we wanted to do with our characters, with our creation, which a lot of artists and creators and writers that inspired us didn't have that right, or didn't have that opportunity to have say and control over their creations. So so they thought we sold out back then. And so each time you see a different version of them, you say, well, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And I feel like when you look at early versions. Like one of my favorite versions of the Turtles is, say, the 2007 animated movie, which I thought was Kevin Monroe directed. Did such a wonderful job to
Love that movie.
the 2000 Fast Forward series that Peter oversaw. So we've had different versions of the Turtle universe. So when Seth Rogen came on as a creator and a creative guy and with his team to do what he thought was a version of the Turtles that he wanted to see, then that's what's exciting to me, because it is sort of, much like Ciro Neely did with the 2012 Nickelodeon series, which I dearly loved. He took the ball, he took the foundation, he took the basis of things Turtles and made it his own version of that. Tom Waltz did the same thing with the IDW TMNT comic series. He picked from multiple Turtle universes to create the foundation, which became the IDW universe. So I'm excited to see what he does with it creatively. And if I don't see it beforehand, I'll definitely be one of the guys in the theaters watching it when it comes out.
Right, definitely. So now, you mentioned Nickelodeon, and they were talking about doing a villain spin-off movie. So I guess they're gonna pick a different villain each time and just tell their backstory or how they came to be, whatever. Now, are there any villains that you're interested in how they tell their story, or a villain that hasn't had their story told correctly or at all? Are you excited to see any?
Well, there's a lot of different ideas floating around, and I think that some of the things that have evolved, out of the comic series, which I think is a great incubator for different ideas to explore.
Mm,
How does Jenica work? What would Jenica do as a standalone story? What would the Triceratons do as a standalone story, or the Neutrinos, or different characters? Krang's evolution, which a lot of that we've explored in the original, the last 10, 12 years in the IDW series. So I think there's definitely bits and pieces and sparks you can build as inspiration to do something in live action. I always had this idea, and I've mentioned it a few times, which I feel like would be great as a comic story, which could actually work as a live action, even TV series, was doing the Gotham or Smallville approach to centering a story around Casey Jones, for example.
mm,
Like where did Casey start, where he lived in New York City, and his
right.
evolution as a character, say 4 years before the Turtles arrived. And so
Mm,
you see him evolve, and some of those characters, again, I really adored the Gotham series. You see where the Penguin came from, where Two-Face came from, where so many of these characters developed and evolved, and how they came into the Batman universe. You could do something similar. I'm curious to see where it goes.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you think with them having this whole slate of just turtle stuff dropping within the next 2 years, that they're trying to recreate the feeling of the 90s when you guys basically controlled the world with the turtles? Because they got toys by NECA, they got, like I said, movies, animated, live action, they got this Nickelodeon series, they just got a bunch of stuff dropping. Do you think that they're trying to bring that old thing back?
Well, I think it's there's two components in that. One is having being lucky enough with the fan base that we have to be able to do anything in the
Hmm.
Turtles universe, to have people interested enough to want to buy, whether it be the Turtles ongoing series, the Last Ronin series, any of the different cartoon series. When the 2012 animated series came out, there were a lot of people that didn't want it, like, oh, it's CG and it's this, and oh, we don't need that. And then once you get into the series, it was quite fantastic and brilliantly done. A lot of people really embraced it, and myself especially. I love the series. I got to see it before it came out. But I think we're lucky that you have companies like partners with Nickelodeon to do like the Seth Rogen movie, to do a live action opportunity, to do, maybe there'd be another Turtles Batman crossover animated series, which I thought was a great sort of exploration, and putting our characters in that universe, which I loved. Doing
Mm,
a the NECA toys, which they've done such a wonderful job at some of the original animated look, certainly the first movie look, which were fantastic, and now they're doing the original Mirage Studios characters, which is where they actually started, which was super exciting to me. Is some of the first NECA toys were based on the original Mirage Studios comic book, so they're digging deeper into that, and I think hitting the fan base that they want to see that bit of recreation of something that inspired them and what drew them to the Turtles in the first place. And they have the income to support it and buy it and add it to add it to their bookshelf. And I love my toys, all kind, besides turtle toys, I love all kinds of toys.
Yeah, I feel like every other week I'm picking up something Turtles related, but
yep.
money goes to a good cause. Makes me happy.
Well, no, I was saying, yeah, it does. I was like, I think we just picked up the No Face figures in the background. Is that the bank that you have over there? The No Face from Spirited Away?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Courtney and I were in a shop the other day, and we just bought that for our collection. So yeah, I love that stuff, and it's like, and the more we consume and the cooler the stuff is, the more they'll make. So it's we all win.
Right. Now, I guess my last thing is, I guess after Last Ronin wraps up, what's next for you? Is there anything that, is it Turtles related? Is it personally related? Is it, what's just next for Kevin Eastman?
Well, what's definitely tippity top on my list is going back to Drawing Blood, which is a concept that I created initially, or had the inspiration for initially, and then evolved it into a co-creation with David Avalone. We did a Kickstarter in 2017 for the first 4 issues, a second Kickstarter in 2019 for the next 4, which we're completing now. We work with the incredible Ben Bishop, who's a series artist, and another fantastic artist creator named Troy Little, who helped bring our characters to life. And it's a story that's set within the comic book universe. So we've designed that as a 12-issue series, plus a couple mini series featuring some characters based in that universe. And we're gonna publish that with a company called Scout Publishing.
Okay.
Doing that with them, but that's probably my main focus outside of all things Turtles. But in the Turtle universe, we're definitely looking to explore some of the concepts and themes that we came up with in the Last Ronin universe. But the ongoing Turtle universe is still just an absolute blast of a playground to come up with ideas and work in what Sophie Campbell and so many other artists have brought to life in the Mutant Town series. I think we're rife with technical difficulties today.
Oh man, the internet. Who told us to have this?
Technology. I just love that we can, that we have this opportunity to have these kind of conversations like this, and the technology that allows us to do this. So we can tolerate a few glitches, but it's
right.
But yeah, no, it's fun. I love this stuff. It's great that we can chat this way.
Definitely. So that is my final question. Now, if they want to keep up with everything Turtle related, everything that's going on with you, where can they follow you on social media?
We have, I think the best place to find out about all things we're doing, because Courtney and I are going back out on tour this year.
Oh, nice.
That's 2020. Just to go to KevinEastmanStudios.com. It's a free website. There's a fan club component you can join to see some other aspects, but it basically lets you know where we're going, what we're doing, what's the latest and the greatest news on all things Turtles, Drawing Blood, Radically Rearranged Ronin Ragdolls, and any other projects I'm doing. But mainly, just stop by there and say hi. But we've got, our Facebook and social media, Twitter and Instagram and those things. You see us out bebopping around out there on that kind of stuff. But the main website is kind of the best hub to find out about what, where, and when, especially this year. I think we've got 6 shows. Our first show, because we used to be pre-COVID, we used to do about 15 shows a year, and we've got 6 shows lined up this year, and excited to be back out there hanging with the fans face to face after a long dry spell of being safe. And so we're excited to get back out there and be safe, so that
right.
You gotta keep on. We got to take care of each other.
Right. Everyone, wash your hands, wash your ass, wear your mask, please. I don't know if COVID is still real, but it feels like it's gone. But I feel like it has just this thing of like just waiting for y'all to just get relaxed and just like, back.
Well, to me, you're right. It's, I think it's better safe than sorry. Certainly,
Absolutely.
it's a great motto. But no, it's like the flu. I grew up in New England, and every year you got sick because you got the flu, and
Right.
sometimes it was worse and sometimes it wasn't worse. But I think things like COVID and things like that, I think it's a good reminder to be safe, wash your hands, like you said, wash your hands, wear your mask, and just
Exactly.
be safe and be respectful of the people you love, but in the people around you, our fellow human beings. That's let's keep each other safe so
Most definitely.
we can carry on.
Everyone do a little so we all don't have to do a lot.
Yes.
So we'll be fine that way. So
well said.
now, Mr. Kevin Eastman, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Wish you much success in 2022. Hopefully, like I said, everything stays copacetic. We get to go back outside and we get to go to cons and we get to go on tour and everything.
Yes.
So I guess until next time,
Yes.
you be good, be easy, and I'll talk to you soon.
My absolute pleasure talking to you. Take care of yourself and your family and your loved ones, and we'll see you out there. If not, we'll see you back here. We'll come back and visit again and talk about what's next.
Yeah, hopefully I'll fix my internet by then and it won't be all these glitches. So
well, I'll share the blame with you. So it's like we'll carry on.
all right, I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Nice chatting with you.
Have a good one.
You as well. Thanks.